listening to Intellectual Nudity.
That's no
Uncensored.
Do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Uninhibited.
Suck my penis!
Unleashed.
Say hello to my little friend!
The Jose Soto Show.
Alright, well, the time has come that we are going to have a showdown. We're going to have a shootout at the OK Corral, aka Supreme Court of the United States, regarding gay marriage vis-a-vis Hollingsworth versus Perry. And then we have the DOMA case. Some of you probably know the case. I'm not going to go over these two cases. You can do your homework on them. But thing is, look, people are wondering, are we going to win? Are we going to make it? What is Justice Roberts going to do? You know, because he's kind of like wavering. Or I don't know. Because Roberts, who's part of the rats of the court, Roberts, Alito, Thomas, Scalia, and Roberts might be one of the key votes. I don't know, because Roberts hasn't really talked about this or hasn't really ruled on any of these kinds of issues. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But there are a lot of people out there, legal scholars, legal pundits, what to say. Like, oh well, this is what might happen. We'll have scenarios there, so they play out the scenarios, and then in the end of the article they'll say, oh, but since this court is so unpredictable, we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm like, so what the hell? Let's just wait and see what happens. Okay? Usually you can probably tell what might happen by the questioning, maybe. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow and on Wednesday. So we have people lined up in front of the court since Thursday, I think. Wow. Out in the cold. And, witness history. Not me, thank you. I'd rather just wait and listen to it over the internet, okay? I can wait a few hours. But, they're going to have the hearing. We'll try to have it on the show. I think we will. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to download the thing, the hearing, once it's available, and then I'll just put it on the Jose Soto Show channel, and then you can listen to it. And then I think I might do like I don't know if I want to do commentary on the hearing, because those hearings, it depends. Let's see what happens, because if there's something interesting on it, maybe I might comment on it, or I don't know. Or it might be just totally boring and nothing might happen. Who knows? But everybody's talking about this other thing, though, that if the Supreme Court rules that gay marriage is a constitutional right in every state and territory of this country, that there's going to be a huge backlash. I'm like, really? I don't think so. I mean, gay marriage is more popular than abortion. And believe me, because they make this comparison between the Roe versus Wade in this case, or cases. Actually, with Prop A, that's more appropriate. But the thing is that you have to understand, people. You have to understand that the murder, I guess you can say, because some people believe it's murder. I don't believe it's murder, but to a certain degree, you are terminating a pregnancy. But let's say it's a murder. Some people view it that way. You're murdering a fetus, a human fetus. So that's a very sensitive topic. It's very sensitive, because you're talking about life and death. But gay marriage is not that sensitive. You're just talking about two dudes, two girls, getting married and having a wonderful life. So it's a whole different scenario, and I think that once people in these reactionary states, once they start seeing that gay people are getting married, nothing's going on, then they will not see it as a huge problem. And that's what other people are talking about. And I agree with some people that are saying, so what? Go ahead, go full throttle. And that's what I say. What the Supreme Court needs to do is just say that gay marriage is a constitutional right. And that's it. Period. End of story. Debate's over. But the thing is that the Democrats and the Republicans are still wanting this to be an issue. They need a wedge issue. They need something to distract you, so that way you don't try to act funny with them. You're not gonna try to ask for economic rights, or you're gonna. They don't want you to be talking about things like where did the money go for the derivatives? Why aren't we taxing Wall Street? Things like that. That kind of the rich oligarchs and the controllers of the country. They don't want you to know those kinds of things. They don't want you to know how much money they have looted the treasury. They just want you to understand that there are two gay guys having butt sex and it's gross, and you should go after that instead, right? But I think for the betterment of the country, the Supreme Court should put this to rest. This issue is pretty much on life support. Just kill it. Just pull the plug. Put this issue out of its misery. Put everybody out of their misery. Settle the case and move on. Let's just do that. It's not abortion. We're not talking about abortion, because that can be I understand why Ginsburg, one of the justices on the Supreme Court, I understand why she is now saying that Roe versus Wade was done inappropriately, because what you have now is states like Arkansas, I think, and North Dakota trying to circumvent it. And you can't, because this is a medical procedure. And there are ways to go around Roe versus Wade. But if you have gay marriage, you can't go around that really, unless the red states decide to say, we're not going to issue licenses anymore. We'll let the churches do that. Something like that. Something that can try to limit the access to marriage licenses. They can try to do that, but it's not gonna help them. But the issue of abortion, though, it's a whole different concept. Please understand that. Right now, only 50, barely a majority support abortion. Barely a majority. And the thing is that even after Roe versus Wade, there was people didn't care until recently, because they needed a wedge issue. But I'm going to say this, that abortion and Roe versus Wade are always going to be a wedge issue. Always going to be an issue. Always. No matter what people think, no matter what people say, it's going to be an issue. And my prediction is, if the Supreme Court rules that gay marriage is a constitutional right, which it should do, then what I predict is that within the next few years, let's say 4 or 5 years, the right wing is going to drop gay marriage, because it's not feasible. It's not feasible anymore, because now they cannot say, let the people vote, which is all horseshit anyway. They're going to force you to marry gay people on your premises and all that kind of fear mongering. It's not going to work anymore, because people are going to see that that's not really the case. But with abortion, it's a whole different issue, because these people and a lot of Americans, even those who are pro-gay and pro-gay marriage, believe that fetus has a spirit, has a soul, and is a living, breathing human being. And abortion is killing that human being. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, I don't really care, but there are people who believe this, and that is what makes it the difference. You see? So I don't believe this whole notion that it's going to be like Roe versus Wade. No, it's not. Okay, because abortion is different. You're killing babies. That's what they say. And with gay marriage, you're going to have Pete, Brian Fisher and Porno Pete raving and foaming at the mouth, screaming and yelling. And, it might help them or it might not, because they might try to revive this anti-gay movement, the homophobia network. I don't know. they might not just give it up and just stick with abortion. Because that's my prediction. I think that they will just stick to abortion. Because now they're going to say that this gay marriage issue, this homosexual issue, is really, it's not feasible anymore. It's not sustainable. So they're going to go back and try to persuade people over the philosophical, moral discussion about abortion and when life begins. That's always going to be a discussion. All right, so now they're also talking about standing and all that. I'm saying is that that's another possibility. They can just throw it out because there's no standing. But really what I really want to hear is, the banter between the justices. I mean, especially Breyer and Scalia and Kagan. I mean, they get into a fit sometimes. So I like drama, though. I like to see people fighting. But this is kind of boring anyway. It's usually boring, unless Scalia will bark something fascistic, like people are not entitled to voting, something like that. Say Kyle, hail Mussolini. And I hope Justice Thomas remains awake, or he can go to sleep. He can just wake up and copy from Scalia. That man never speaks, does he? I mean, Justice Thomas, another fascist on the court. Yeah, he doesn't really speak anything. He just sits there. He probably doesn't even know he's a Supreme Court justice. He just sits like, oh, where? I thought this was a senior center. Golly. Anyway, the thing is, Democrats and Republicans, what I really believe is that they want to keep this issue alive. They want this to drag on so that way they can make some political gain on it. And to be honest with you, if that is the case, what's going to happen is, well, you're going to probably have Prop 8 just applied to California. DOMA is going to be repealed, semi-repealed, right? So, Democrats are going to come by. You know what they're going to do, right? You know what the Democrats are going to do. The Democrats they're going to come to the gay community and they're going to say, all right, listen, you queers, we need you to give us money or else. If you don't give us money, the fascist teabaggers, which they are going to take over. And we will let them take over. Because Democrats, if you look at them, like Obama, they capitulate. They let the teabaggers run the place. They let, they cave in right away. I mean, Obama, he's like, oh, I'm going to cut Medicare. I'm going to cut Social Security. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Nobody in this country wants you to do that. But yet, you're doing it because of the teabaggers who are controlled by the Koch brothers. Yeah, because they don't believe that senior citizens and old people are entitled to live a healthy life. Yeah, all right. Well, so a lot of people are very, how can I say this? They are optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the Supreme Court cases. But let me just warn you, though. We can lose big time. That's a possibility. May not be on the wall right now, but keep in mind that that is a possibility. So don't put your hopes up. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. You'll never know what Kennedy might do. Kennedy might cop out. He might say, you know what? I can't do this. And there's actually something to back it up. And it's the infamous Lawrence versus Texas. Or infamous for those who hate gay people. But in that decision that was written by Kennedy, he says this does not mean that we are now dictating that gay people are entitled to relationships. But who knows, right? I mean, he can just overlook that. But it's there. Just want to let you know. Justice Kennedy wrote that. People tend to overlook that sentence towards the end of his opinion. But I read it, and I caught onto it, and I was like, wait a minute. So we can't really use Lawrence versus Texas, although we can use the Romer case. That's really more predictable. But who knows? I'm just saying. I'm not saying that we will lose. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. Just like it is if you're going to go car racing, or if you're a race car driver in Formula 1, there's a possibility that you might crash. Okay? You crash and burn. You may even die. But just be ready for it. And for us, what I'm saying is, be ready for a huge loss. And that's okay. I'm ready for it. I mean, the whole thing is pretty extraordinary anyway. For me, it's so extraordinary that I think it's highly unlikely that we will lose big. We might lose something, I know that, but... And you have a lesbian cousin that was invited by... This is also very interesting. I don't know what this means. I'm just letting you know that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has a gay cousin, and he has invited her to see the hearing. Because the Supreme Court justices have this special, kind of like a jury box kind of section. And they can put special guests in there, or their family members. And so, I don't know what that means, but Roberts invited his gay cousin, lesbian cousin, and her partner to come and see and hear the case. I think both cases, right? That is very, very interesting. I'm not going to read too much into it, because you know how these Republicans, you know how they operate. You know, they're very sneaky. They're very unpredictable. They're very reactionary. I mean, nobody suspected that Roberts was going to, say that the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, was actually constitutional. Nobody in their right minds. If I was to tell you back then that Chief Justice Roberts was going to uphold Obamacare, you will be pointing at me, laughing at me. But it happened, and people like Roberts, these, I don't know what to call them. I mean, these sort of weird Republicans, they're so unpredictable. It's like that Portman guy, Senator Portman. About 2 weeks ago, Senator Portman was against gay marriage. Then a week ago, he's for it because he has a gay son, and I'll go into that later probably. So you don't know what these people, I don't know what to call them. I guess we can call them urban Republicans or something. That's somebody said Metroplex. No, that's a group, isn't it? Metropolitan Republicans. They're not rural. They're not reactionary enough, but they can be reactionary. They can swing it in any way imaginable. These people are unpredictable. We don't know. We don't know what this means. We don't know if he brought her over to make her look at the fact that he's going to burst her bubble, that she's able to marry. I don't know. Maybe she did tell him, look, bro, and they're not brothers, but, look, cuz, I really want to get married. And I want you to, and I want you to help me with this, Do me justice. I don't know if that was the case. Some people are saying that somebody in his family influenced him on the Affordable Care Act. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, that's a rumor, somebody says. So, and there's also the fact that he has this medication, right, that he has to take for his epilepsy that might make him forget a few things. Oops, I forgot that I should be conservative. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't know. I mean, you have a lot of these clues that we can look at. I'm not going to look too much into it. You have the gay cousin. You have, the fact that he's kind of like this independent Republican. Then you have, or a metropolitan Republican. Then you have the fact, that Nom controversy. Well, it wasn't really much a controversy. Nobody talked about it except Jeremy Hooper and some bloggers on the blogosphere. They were talking about this the other day about the National Organization for Marriage Oh yeah, they fucked up their own case in the proposition and the Supreme Court. They totally fucked it up. They botched it. I mean, might as well just run back home, save yourselves the trip, because the chairman of the National Organization for Marriage, which is a front group for these oligarchs, these Bilderbergers, to distract the masses on gay marriage and make it a wedge issue. So, the chairman of the National Organization for Marriage came out and said that specifically the kids of Chief Justice Roberts, because they're adopted, those kids are second rate. That's what he said. Meaning that if you have your own kids, it's better. Adopting kids, not that good. Ooh, that is not gonna sit well with the judge. And believe me, the last thing you want to do before you go to court and you have a trial before the judge or justices, you don't want to piss any of them off. Especially the Chief Justice of the fucking Supreme Court of the fucking United States. You don't want to do that. You don't want to piss him off. So, these people are fucking lunatics, man. They're out of their fucking minds. I don't know. If I was Roberts, if I was straight man Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, and I hear this crap that some douchebag at the National Organization for Marriage is bashing my kids and calling them second rate, I'll be, you know what? Fuck you, asshole. How about this? Gay marriage in all 50 states. There. Have them apples. There goes your career, Brian Brown and the chairman. So that's one thing that's definitely going to happen. Brian Brown is going to lose his paycheck. It's $500,000 a year paycheck. I mean, the Human Rights Campaign, you know, and I'm not really in agreement with a lot of things that they do, but the Human Rights Campaign, they have Chad Griffin, and they pay him $500,000 a year, which I think is pretty extraordinary. But the Human Rights Campaign is a huge organization with a lot of people in it involved. They have all these programs. I mean, they're pretty widespread. They're all over the country. And NOM has basically no supporters. They're only famous within the extreme religious right, the ex-gays and all that. Nobody really knows what NOM is. I mean, if you go down to your local pub or your bar, straight bar, and you go there, you say, hey, have you heard about the National Organization for Marriage, Brian Brown? They'll be like, what, who? Brian, what, Charlie Brown, who? What? No. Brian Brown. Nobody knows who this guy is, but he's making $500,000 and he's trying to stop gay marriage. But the thing is, if the Supreme Court rules that gay marriage is legal all over the country, that's it. It's over for Charlie Brian Brown. That's it. He's dead. He has to find another career. I heard that Taco Bell down the street is hiring Brian. You can join my cousin Carlos working at Taco Bell. I can hook you up. Hey man, let me tell you how to make the taco, man. I can just see Brian Brown's face. I used to make $500,000 a year. And of course he had to donate 10% of that to his church, right? That's a lot of money. But he has about, 7 kids, 8 kids? So he has mouths to feed. You know, that's probably not, I mean, if you have 7 kids, $500,000, that's barely enough, I think. I mean, yeah, because you're going to put him through college, probably private school, you have health insurance and all this. Yeah, so fine, I guess that's appropriate. But the thing is that for a man to make $500,000 to bash gays all this time, and to run an organization that has no more than 4 people working at the office, it's just, I don't know, it's weird. And he can't even raise that much money. The only time he was able to raise good enough money was when they went with the Mormons, Mormons are still trying to raise money for this shit, but the Mormon Church is like trying to back out of it, and so they're losing on this issue. I'm saying. So hopefully they lose big. And what I'm saying is, and then let me just leave you with this before I go to break, that I really think, first of all, have an open mind. Anything can happen tomorrow and the next day, all the way through June, because in June that's when they give out the rulings. Anything can happen. We can lose big. That's fine. If we lose, all we have to do is go back and do it again. Time's on our side. Don't worry about that. I don't want people crying, complaining, and bitching and whining. We're over that, okay? We're bigger than that. And we don't need to be crying about a loss. I know it's going to be tough, but just keep it in your mind. It might happen. Just be prepared for that. I don't want people rioting in the streets like these fucknuts over there in Paris. Don't do that. We're smarter than them. I hope we are. Are you smarter than Linda Harvey? Aunt Linda? You're smarter than Brian Fisher? Porno Pete? Charlie Brian Brown? Are you smarter than these doofuses? Of course you are. So just have it in your mind that we might lose. And that's fine. I just don't want to see people psychologically get invested in this. Don't make this a personal thing. Of course it is personal, because some people might want to get married, or you have a partner right now where you are considering marrying, and that's good. But just realize this is business. It is business. At the end of the day, it's business. Yeah, you have all these emotions attached to this, equality, love, commitment, marriage, religious beliefs, faith, whatever, fine. But in reality, the marriage certificate is a business license. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. And the courts, what they do is they manage the money, because marriage is about money. Okay? That's why when I talk about marriage, I don't say marriage equality. I say gay marriage and economic rights, because that's what we're really fighting for, ladies and gentlemen, is in fact economic rights. Because everything that involves with a marriage is about money. Benefits, what are benefits? Money. Social Security benefits, money. Medicare benefits, money. It's all money. The only thing that's not money is probably the child custody rights and all that, but that's the state will give you that. And hospital visitation. But even that's sort of money anyway too, because if they don't let you visit your loved one, you can sue them. Again, money. It's all about money. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. That's the way I view it. I am trying not to personally invest my emotions in this, because I know what the marriage debate is really about. There are people who are saying marriage is between a man and a woman. No, it's between two businesses making a merger. Do you know what a merger is? A merger is when two corporations get together. Because in reality, the courts and the banks, the Federal Reserve and Wall Street, they don't view you as an individual. They view you as a corporation. And people don't know that you can still get multiple Social Security numbers too. But they're not really called Social Security numbers. They're employment ID numbers, employer IDs. People are like, oh yeah, I could get a different Social Security number and use that for my taxes. I think I have like several of those. Because I know what the system is. See, if you understand what you're talking about, you know what the laws are about. The laws are all about mainly money. This is a civil suit. This is a civil litigation regarding marriage. It's business. when you're getting a divorce from your wife or your husband, it's business, okay? Because now you're in front of a judge. Whatever issues you have, fuck those issues. We're talking about who's gonna get the car, who's gonna get the accounts, who's gonna sell the junk, who's gonna sell the car, who's gonna get the boat, who's gonna keep the house. That is what we're talking about when you go through a divorce or a dissolution. It's not really called a divorce; it's called a dissolution. So people need to do your homework. That's all I'm saying. So yes, I would like gay people to have these economic rights and protections and be able to protect themselves and their relationships and their money and their economic rights and their property, because that's what we're talking about here. So yeah, it's important. Yeah, because a lot of our money and our property as a gay community is riding on this. Just want to let you know. And so, but again, it's business. What's really important, I think, and my mother always tells me this. What's important, Jose, is not the money, because that's what marriage is. Although that is important to an extent, right? You need money to live, unfortunately. But what's important is your health. And that's what's important. So just remember that tomorrow is just another day. Tomorrow is another day. We're just going to have a meeting. We're going to have a hearing. Lawyers that represent people. Lawyers will be talking to other lawyers who wear these black cloths, these black robes. And they're going to be talking business. Don't take it personally. Don't be like Brian Brown and all these goofs who like cry because something bad happens to them. Just realize what it is. So, anyway, God, I've been talking for so long. All right, let's move on. I'm going to take a break. But that's what I wanted to say. It will happen eventually one day. If it's not this year, it's going to be very soon that we're going to have, gay marriage all across the country. But I prefer to have it now, so that way we don't have to deal with this anymore. It's over. It's done. And if you are a right-wing reactionary, if you're one of those right-wingers, a social conservative, you should be rallying behind our cause. You should be saying, yeah, get the Supreme Court to rule on this and make it legal everywhere. You know why? So that way we don't shove it in your throat anymore. Because these social conservatives, they're always complaining, oh, you gays are you're shoving your lifestyle down our throats. Because we discussed this gay marriage issue. So, there it is. Be prepared. Be hopeful. But again, let's just see what happens.